Hey everyone, Lou here. As a vocal synth fan, I always try to find ways to make videos including Utau in the discussion, especially when Utau was how I started in the vocal synth community with my gosh awful covers featuring my Utau, who I've now named Kotoneyose, and the OG queen herself, Teto. However, we all can't lie that Utau is hard to work with. At least, it's always been frustrating for me as A, an idiot, and B, someone who doesn't speak Japanese, so I struggle to get the plugins to work that everybody else uses to make Utau work more like Vocaloid and Synthesizer V. That, and I mean, I think the last Utau update was over a decade ago, so we all can agree that it's in desperate need of an update. Cut to the comments section of my rougher Utau videos where I was introduced to OpenUTAU. OpenUTAU is a free spiritual successor to Utau by Saint Akira, released on August 21st, 2021, to quite the applause. I can't say it received massive applause everywhere, but it was definitely loved, and apparently quite a few Utau users dropped the original Utau in favor of its free successor. So, let's discuss the ins and outs of OpenUTAU. Firstly is that the layout is a lot cleaner and easier to understand than Utau, because of its obvious newer layout, and it doesn't have that clunky Windows XP layout. However, the very empty layout does make for a bit of a learning curve, but it's nothing too crazy or impossible either. There is actually a guide when you first open Utau that you can close and reopen anytime you want, just to see where everything is and teach yourself the lay of the land, so to speak. Another thing on the track is that you can choose for what kind of voice bank this is so that the voice bank is rendered properly. This means that if it's a CV lyric input, you can have the voice bank still sing it by selecting the language and what style it is. It's hard to explain, but basically you can have a VCV voice bank sing a CV track. But I do find that this doesn't always work. You can tell this doesn't work when OpenUTAU refuses to play the track, by the way. The best solution in OpenUTAU for when something is a CV or VCV UST file is to manually change the lyrics to fit. However, easier said than done in the original Utau. It might just be me, but I found that hiragana input refuses to enter properly and just ends up a question mark, despite following the language setting in Utau to a T. Luckily, as shown here with an example of me editing in OpenUTAU, when you input a lyric, it'll tell you what lyric you're looking for in that voice bank, as well as allowing hiragana to be input into the typed lyrics. It's honestly a lifesaver for voice banks that are configured really weirdly, like Gahata Meiji. Although I do have to heavily critique that not all Utau voice banks sound very clear or good in OpenUTAU if the voice bank doesn't have proper auto configuration beforehand. I say this because my Utau, Kotoneyose, had these weird audio pops, like I recorded her without a pop filter, which is weird when I did, because I do have a pop filter. I had to go back and reconfigure her auto a lot, and had to edit the frequency as I found her audio recordings were uneven in Utau, and I didn't notice because OpenUTAU made it a lot more audibly noticeable. I mean, yay that it did require me to look more and try harder at auto configuration, especially for a VCV voice bank, but it is a warning to those who made their own voice banks that you're gonna have to have some pretty clean recordings and configuration if you want your Utau to sound good quality in this engine. One thing I do praise though is that Utau voice banks sound cleaner. Like Tei Sukone has some pretty heavy engine noise in Utau, but here she actually sounds pretty clear and way less engine noise, so that's actually pretty surprising. I don't know, for some reason I find the audio quality in OpenUTAU sounds a lot clearer to me. I mean, there's still engine noise, but it's not nearly as bad as Utau.
惹かれ合って存在する世界ならせたならままでいられるかな
Now I really have to give massive praising to these three things. One is that you can edit pitch bends on the damn timeline instead of needing a separate plugin that you have to keep opening and closing just to hear if your attempt sounded good. Tuning in Utau has always been a pain in the ass for me, but I could get that it's also just me being stupid with the engine. I did receive a lot of comments in previous videos discussing Utau as well as previous covers telling me that I clearly wasn't using the engine right, so maybe I am, maybe I'm not, who knows. Second is that you can remove or add lyrics and it won't extend or shorten the track. One massive frustration with Utau is that removing any note or trying to add another note would extend or shorten the whole track and throw it off completely. Here, it's a lot like any other synthesizer where you can delete or add a note and it won't extend or shorten the track at all. Which, like, thank goodness, because there are some voice configurations that add extra files to make a voice sound more realistic that obviously voice banks I use don't have, so when I would delete those, it would completely shorten the track and throw everything off, so I am so glad this is not a thing in OpenUTAU. 3, and finally, is that you can use multiple tracks at once instead of doing one at a time. I know you could technically do that in Utau as well via plugins, but I'm gonna be honest that I could never figure that one out how the hell it worked. Again, I'm stupid with Utau, so, you know. A personal praise for me is a dark mode to the editor, by the way. It can be a real eyesore editing in bright white, especially late at night, so I really like the dark mode because it makes it easier on the eyes. It's also because Vocaloid and Synthesizer V work technically on a dark mode layout, so it's just easier on my eyes and makes for actually some cohesion. This is just an easier way to work with Utau though. I feel more motivated to do stuff in Utau rather than screaming into the sky in agony when I get the idea to do anything with the Utau voice banks I have, like Te Sukone, Oedo Chanko, and more. Overall, I think OpenUTAU is a fantastic successor to the original Utau, and I highly recommend it. I mean, still keep the original Utau though, because one thing this can't do is auto configuration, and I've read online that you can get a plugin, but it doesn't always work. But yeah, other than that, totally give OpenUTAU a chance. Down below in the description will be the link to OpenUTAU. If you guys like hearing my voice sing, down below will also be my Utau Kotone Yose, who received a very minor update recently to tweak some issues I overlooked before. To accompany this video, there's also a cover with Te Sukone and Kotone Yose singing ID Smile, so be sure to check that out too. What do you guys think of OpenUTAU? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you wish the original Utau had an update? Because I sure do. As always, let me know down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. If any of you would like to help support my channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description, along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who'd like to help with video ideas, or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!